Hello everyone, and welcome to the Risen Esports Divine League Week 6. My name is Coleslaw. Joining me on this cast here is Root Dude 1. We're bringing you the final matchup of the regular season here between mAAD City Mirage and Wichita Wolves Black. These are two strong teams. They're first and second in their group, and they are going to be grappling for who will be able to end this group, end this regular part of the season in first place. Root Dude, how you doing? Uh-oh. Rude Dude's doing a little quiet right now, so I'll suppose I'll be talking about this one until we can get him back online. And in case we have bans flying off the table here, we have Galio, Seraphine, and Nar banned away by mAAD City, as well as Gragas, Hecarim, and one more ban waiting on for Wichita Wolves Black. They're going to go with the Irelia. Now, these are kind of your mix of target bans and meta bans at this level here in High Diamond. You get a mix of what players are comfortable on still being viable, while most teams are starting to shift towards this meta level of play, which is where you see the Seraphine and the Gnar coming from. Hecarim as well, some really strong picks in the League of Legends meta right now, contested hotly by every team who knows what they're doing. Kai'Sa, another one of those picks as well. They'll be grabbing her as a first pick. And is Rude Dude back? He's not back. He doesn't hear anything. Technical difficulties coming to us from Discord and having audio issues. Very unfortunate. Hopefully we'll get this sorted out before we get into a game, but I'll be joining you on draft for the time being. And we've got last second pickup, and Ivern actually going to be snagged by the Wichita Wolves, which is very interesting. It's one of those picks that you don't see very often, and it's very unique playstyle, especially as a blind pick, because it's one of these champions in the jungle that's very vulnerable to being invaded. Anyway, give me a moment to work on these technical difficulties. It is hard to cast a draft while trying to coordinate a stream. But we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. I'm gonna keep talking. I got this. I can carry the solo cast. The counterpick here from mAAD City Mirage. This is kind of a really excellent adaptation to the Ivern. If you're expecting it, if you know it's coming, if you think you're going to see it, having a pick like Xin Zhao ready to go to counter it is a really fantastic strategy. He is not super popular. I don't think I've seen him picked in pro play at any point. I'm sure he's shown up in the LPL because they do everything there, but he's one of these champions that can invade Ivern and kill him reliably, easily, and he's just hard to get away from. Having that dash, having that knock-up, having a slow on his dash means he just has the power to get in and stay in and make sure that Ivern goes down. There is no escape from a Xin Zhao. The issue with Xin Zhao is that he has no way to get back out. So if there's a collapse, if there's a punish from Wichita Wolves, if they know the Xin Zhao's coming and they can ward it and fall in to catch him inside their jungle, then he can be really vulnerable. But if the Xin Zhao goes in undetected, if he's able to find the Ivern will die before the collapse can even happen. And that's what makes this a really effective jungle counter pick. I really like to see it out of mAAD City Mirage. I think it shows preparation on their part. It shows that they knew that this Ivern was a possibility, and it shows that they had something ready to go to punish it. They're also going to lock up the Nautilus for their bot lane, and Wichita Wolves going to round out their bot lane with the Nami as well, making sure to get their own support before the pinch bans can come in, making sure that there is nothing too scary banned away, leaving a super favorable matchup for that Nautilus. He does have a lot of good ones, so getting something you're comfortable with, very important to make sure you can answer it. Nami actually not the most routine answer to Nautilus. It's not something that you see every day. In addition to this, Ivern, Wichita Wolves really have their own style here. They're going with what they know, what they like. But Nami does have a lot of power. She can poke the Nautilus. She has a lot of sustain. And with the Tristana all in, being supported by that Nami, giving her that movement speed, giving her the slows on those auto attacks, it's very easy to just ignore the Nautilus and go onto this Kai'Sa, especially before she gets the stealth on her E. The two of them can really punish a Kai'Sa. Her only mobility is a little bit of movement speed, and when she's getting slowed by auto attacks, she can get bubbled. You've got the sustain from the wave from Nami, and that can spell danger for this Kai'Sa. And I really like this lane as an answer to Kai'Sa Nautilus. Tristana Nami is a really good pickup, and Tristana, of course, just really strong right now. Any case, we have the bans that have flown off the shelf. We had Ziggs and Nico banned by Wichita Wolves, targeting mid lane, targeting Havoc, by the way, on Mad City Mirage, making sure can't get any of those really safe poke champs. They're going to lock in the Orianna as a blind pick. That's what they decided to ban away to enable that mid lane matchup. And on the other side, Mad City Mirage decided to ban Gangplank and Camille. mAAd, one of the strongest players in Divine League, one of the best top laners we have in this league. He can be a really monstrous player. They do not want to see him on Camille, especially without she can run over a game from the side lanes, and especially when mAAd's going to be getting final counter pick. That's a very scary thing to consider. And Gangplank, just an overall strong scaling pick as well. mAAd has found success on it time and time again. So banning it away, a really good choice by them. They want to make sure that they don't have that one going. Even more interesting is that they lock in the Lucian, which I would imagine is Lucian mid. They're hovering a Nivea, which I think is probably Troll. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm wrong. Lucian and Nivea is a choice you can make.
Never mind.
Rude Dude is back.
I'm here. Hello.
He's here.
Thank you.
Do you want to explain to me why they just locked in Lucian and Anivia for their solo lanes? That's a really good time for you to join, because I need someone to explain this to me.
You know what? There's a very simple explanation, and it's that Anivia is Cho'Gath. The wonders of Pro Draft, ladies and gentlemen. The Anivia is in fact a Cho'Gath, so ignore the fact that it's an Anivia solo lane, and make it look like an actual top laner that we might have anticipated.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
I want to thank you for the carry right there. Discord really do be doing me dirty, but I'm here, I'm ready, and I'm hoping that the connection issues have ceased for the evening. So we should be good, ready to rock and roll tonight. Of course, two big teams coming at it with one another, and this draft as well, just full of spice from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of interesting things, even disregarding the Anivia. It's a Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is a much more reasonable blind pick. There's a lot of interesting things going on. The Xin Zhao Ivern jungle matchup, I mean, sometimes you get the jungle matchups where it's like Olaf Volibear for the 19 millionth time in a row. And other times, you know, you get Xin Zhao Ivern and you look at it and you're like, yeah, those are two champions that exist in League of Legends that you can lock in if you choose to.
This is new Xin Zhao as well, don't forget.
Yes, where he can build AP a little bit.
And he has the really extended E range. His W is a little bit longer as well. For those that aren't aware, if you hit Xin Zhao's W, you can now E to them regardless of the range. There is like a Lee Sin Q style cap on it, but so long as you have hit your W, it sort of acts in the same way as that with the E. So this is a much more mobile champion. Previously a hero that was gated by his lack of mobility, and his only going inness now has much more dive potential. And you know, with the composition, we might think that doesn't quite fit all that well. Obviously Lucian can go into the backline, Kai'Sa can do as well, but maybe not a dedicated diving top laner, right? Cho'Gath more of a front line as opposed to a dive, and I know that there's a little bit of a nuance between those two, but they're not inherently the same.
Yeah, the difference, right, is that Xin Zhao loves following up on engage, lockdown, AoE CC, you know, where he's given a little window where he can go in and do some damage because someone has been engaged on by a teammate. Mad City Mirage, they want to go in. They really want to go in. They have Nautilus, they have Xin Zhao, they have Kai'Sa. Lucian can go in too. It's a lot of going in, but very little in the way of actual AoE lockdown. It's mostly just damage they're bringing to the table with two marksmen and a Xin Zhao. If the three of them all dive in together, sure, there's a lot of damage there, but a Tristana can jump away, and Orianna, if she gets an Ivern shield, a Navi heal, and burns a flash, they're going to find themselves deep in enemy territory, and they don't have ways to get out. That's the thing, is you mentioned Xin Zhao getting mobility. It's more mobility to go in and go in deeper, but that weakness of not being able to go out has stuck around.
And I'm so glad that you bring up what Wichita have drafted for themselves as well, because there are a couple of champions here that love it when champions come into them. Nami, in particular, with the tidal wave with the Bubble, does incredibly well at trying to disengage her, at least by space and by time. The Tristana has Rocket Jump, has Buster Shot to generate even more space between herself and the target she's trying to attack. Daisy is going to be a massive threat in these team fights. It essentially becomes a 6th champion that Wichita are going to have on their side, and Mad City Mirage are going to have to try and deal with it. They do have a fairly funny answer in the Cho'Gath feast, so that Daisy gets spawned and you can just summon the Cho'Gath ultimate and take a quick little bite out of Ivern's pet. But either way, the team fight should still be very interesting, and both of these teams have got pretty much what they wanted, and it's going to be interesting to see how those interactions pan out.
Yeah, actually, it's worth bringing up. Daisy actually was buffed a couple patches ago, and Ivern has an upcoming nerf to address that. But the issue is that her AI just used to be bad. Whereas now, if Daisy's following Ivern, she can do things on her own a lot more routinely, and she doesn't need to be micromanaged quite as aggressively to get those knockups to cause those disruptions. And so Ivern relatively strong right now as well. I think it's funny, though, you mentioned the Cho'Gath. I hadn't even considered that. Is you can eat Daisy, and that is not a minion stack.
Yep.
Pets are different. So where Cho'Gath can only get 6 stacks off of minions and jungle monsters, if he eats Daisy 15 times, that's 15 stacks, and he will just get huge.
That's one of the nichest counter picks that I think I've ever heard, to be honest, as an answer. You hear all of these quite nuanced ones where, Braum's good into Tristana because she blocks the bomb, but Cho'Gath's good into Ivern because you can stack stacks off of Daisy is mind-blowing, and I hope that we get to see the interaction at some point. It's going to take a little bit of handiwork from the rest of the team to get Daisy within that threshold, but it really shouldn't be too difficult. And it comes down to resource management as well, because it's going to be a question of, does the Cho'Gath actually want to use the ultimate on Daisy, right? Is Daisy such
Probably
a high priority threat that you want to be ulting it? You're quite right. The answer, probably not here. So whether or not we get that one, the stacks are going to be built up, hopefully in the early game, to make Cho'Gath nice and tanky, nice and beefy here. And of course, the Silas going to be looking to presumably take that feast and build some stacks for himself as well.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is that's a really strong pick into Cho'Gath, because if you steal that Cho'Gath ult, you just get health. It's that simple. And it makes Silas a little tankier, which is hilarious. It's one of the more niche counter picks as well, is we've got counter picks on counter picks. We have Xin Zhao to Ivern, we have Cho'Gath to Ivern, we have Silas to Cho'Gath. Everyone's just feasting on everyone. But, it's a game of League of Legends. There's a lot of other things going on. I think if you're Wichita Wolves or your comp, you're just looking to run things over. You're looking to kite away if they're going in on you. You have the Silas, mAAd on Silas, who is in a great position to carry with this counter pick. And Orianna that's doing a lot of work. You can put the ball on Daisy and use her to deliver shockwaves, which is extremely threatening. And with a tidal wave to set that up as well, there's just a lot of team fight potential coming out of Wichita Wolves, a lot of kind of dive and skirmish potential out of Mad City Mirage. These teams have very unique win conditions. I wouldn't say either team is dramatically scaling harder than the other. They both have reasonably good scaling going into late game. But it comes down to how things go on the Rift. So we're going to take a quick break as we wait to load in. We've got to construct the Rift for these people to duke it out. And we'll be right back with the first match of the day in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Summoner's Rift here for Game 1 of Mad City Mirage versus Wichita Wolves Black. We are here in the Risen Esports Divine League Week 6. This is the first game of a best-of-3 set. We've got two teams facing off, trying to jockey for first place in their group, ultimate bragging rights, punching their ticket into playoffs. And I'd keep talking, but we have what looks like a little bit of a level 1. mAAd gonna spot this out, though.
Yeah, so gonna at least identify that there was an attempted 5-stack on the top side. Worth noting that the level 1 here for Mad City is very, very strong. And also worth noting, we got a bit of a flex pick in Champion Select. Steel City Warrior 1 with the Lucian. He's actually going to be in the top lane here with Havoc taking the Cho'Gath into the mid lane. Now, there are several repercussions of this. Lucian is going to have a much better lane into the Sylas than the Cho'Gath will. The Lucian, of course, in a longer lane can find more trades and can continue to get that damage down in this melee matchup. And the Sylas is going to be significantly worse off for it. But what you can see as a sort of answer to this right now, if you take a cheeky look at your minimaps, it's going to be Sylas hovering around the mid lane, Orianna around the top lane, and the question becomes, do Mad City Mirage answer this and recognize it?
Yeah, so this is interesting, right? The idea is that Sylas into Cho'Gath is a really, really, really terrible matchup for your Cho'Gath, and you don't want to let that happen, because as soon as you're 6, Sylas is just getting free stacks, and he doesn't care about anything else. That's just so much value for a champion who has an ultimate that can do so many other things as well, that you don't want to let that lane happen. And so they send the Cho'Gath mid, hoping that it's going to be the answer to the Orianna, and Lucian can lane just fine against Sylas in top lane. But Wichita Wolves say, well, I mean, if you're going to lane swap, why don't we just lane swap too? We like these lanes. We counterpicked you to get this lane. And so they send their Orianna to top lane. They send their Sylas to mid. They still have that winning mid lane. The Lucian, though, it was picked as a counter to the Orianna, and it should be a little stronger even as a counterpick in the longer top lane.
Yeah, you're exactly right that in that longer lane, it is going to be, again, easier for Lucian to find more prolonged trades, obviously. Even against an Orianna, a Lucian's auto is going to be doing slightly more consistently overall versus this Ori, so they will be looking to at least get those lanes and hope that the Lucian can continue to find an advantage, but you can even see in this mid lane that...
Yeah, we've got a big trade going down mid lane. Havoc and mAAd both ping level 2. Havoc pings level 3 to keep himself alive. Both of them very low. You can see those mid laners duking it out. That looked like a great trade from mAAd. Going to blow a flash as well. So this is the Sylas versus Cho'Gath lane in action. We have a gank on top lane. Peanutnutter getting knocked up underneath the turret. Turret shots going on to Best Turtle RU. Steel City Warriors going to get the kill. Flash out and dies. So it's first blood for Mad City, but they trade it right back. And here's another gank into the mid lane. This Cho'Gath has no flash. He's going to fall. mAAd gets the kill. They're now up 2-for-1, and that is already a big deal and a big win for Wichita Wolves across the map. Here comes the bot lane. The fight isn't stopping. Superstar 1 goes low, but North is lower. Grim's going to pick up that kill, jump onto Steel City Warrior. This Nautilus does have flash. He's not going to go down, but that's just a 2v2 kill going in the bot lane as well.
Mid lane, some trades once again here. Worth noticing mAAd hasn't TP'd yet, so still has that free recall in him, provided he doesn't die under the turret. He should be okay. Now, there's a lot to dissect that has just happened in the last minute. Most notably, the fact that the Tristana and Nami actually got themselves a solo 2 versus 2 kill without jungle intervention. And the priority that you saw focused on the Nami in draft, now you can start to see those rewards starting to be reaped by the Wichita Wolves here, because yes, Nami is an answer to Nautilus, not your traditional one, because the Nautilus can just hook the Nami, and the Nami traditionally goes down very easily. But when you bubble the enemy AD carry, that difference in focus between focusing the ADC and focusing the support results in much more damage being dealt to Mad City Mirage than the Wichita Wolves. Grim was able to get in, got a nice trade, but now
here's another gank onto this Orianna. This is going to be another kill, but Best Turtle RU just walking in. It's not a kill. He's just going to go down, and there's a solo kill in mid lane at the same time. Oh no.
Shield for posterity there from Ein, and really not too much else. Peanut Butter is absolutely survival tank on this top side right here. The Orianna definitely getting her money's worth on these dives. Got one off the Lucian, now one to the Xin Zhao as well. So definitely feeling pretty good about this top-sided matchup, even though she's obviously in that longer lane and is getting a little bit punished for it. Still, getting those kills, 2-1 and 0-1 on Orianna is a very successful time in the top lane.
Yeah, I wanted to mention it was kind of with those first couple kills that happened. It was we saw the junglers ganking different lanes, right? It was Best Turtle RU put the attention top. We saw Eigen put the attention to mid, and so in top, it was a trade of 1-for-1. Where they had their jungler, they were able to get a kill, but they lost their jungler. And then where Wichita Wolves sent their jungler, they were able to pick up that free kill. So it was a big win for them, right? Because it's you trade in the lane where you're outnumbered, and you get an advantage in the lane where you have the numbers advantage. Disregarding the solo kill in bot lane that they picked up on top of that. And now we see Best Turtle going top lane again. It's the right idea. You should be ganking the Orianna in the long lane. Here's a gank onto bot lane. Superstar going to go right down. This Nami has no flash. This Tristana doesn't use it, so they're going to get 2 kills right back. This is a bloody game, dude. Uh-oh. He's gone again. Oh, boy. We're on the solo cast once again. We've got more fight going on everywhere. mAAd dodging out on the silence from Havoc. He's chasing him down. There's not a level 6 yet, but that's still fine. Dings it on the solo kill. You saw the Dragon started up, but with that kill going down mid lane, Dragon is now illegal for Mad City. They realized that this Sylas could walk right in. He's not low. The Cho'Gath wasn't able to do much damage to him. So they have to give it up. They're going to go ahead and recall. And with Superstar wanting Grim back on the map, this is going to be an Infernal Dragon for Wichita Wolves. And though this has been a lot of fighting, a lot of scrapping so far, I mean, this is going exactly according to plan. Your Sylas is 3-0 before he hit level 6. You were picking this mostly for the counter pick after level 6 happened. And 3-0 before. Now that he's going to get his ultimate, it's just going to get worse. This is terrifying, terrifying Sylas. Here's an engage from Steel City Warrior into bot lane. I'm not sure he wants that one. Grim going to jump away before picking up the kill. He's going to burn down to the Ignite. Steel City Warrior is here. Cleans up 1, cleans up 2 with the culling. So they're going to get their 2 kills back. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Mad City. Best Turtle finally getting some kills without going down. No one paying the price there. And this gold lead close to even back up. 5-7 in kills. There's just no time to take a breath in this game. Everyone's fighting all the time. We have 12 kills in 7 minutes. It's every time a jungler shows up anywhere, someone is dying, and most times it's multiple people. Both Dragon down. Rift Herald not up yet. Junglers have to go do their clears at some point. They're both level 5 with solo lanes hitting 6 and 7 across the map. Means that maybe we have a bit of a breather. Maybe we can relax. We can take stock. We can realize that this Lucian has been reassigned to mid. They realized the Cho'Gath into Sylas was just unplayable, I think is the best way to call it. Havoc, by the way, not having a good time. Here's a hook onto the Nami. That's going to be another kill. Superstar 1 vanishes before your eyes. That was a level 6 Kai'Sa against a level 5 Nami, and down she goes. So after giving up that early kill, the Mad City bot lane really powering through. I think I heard something. Did I hear something?
You did hear something here, and I'm trying my darnest to get back into the game. I might have to hold it here again.
We have another fight. We see Daisy come out onto North. This is a summonerless Kai'Sa, so they're walking in. You see the shield does get the slow. Daisy providing vision into the bush. Grim finally going to take the jump with the bomb. That's going to be a kill. The Buster shot onto Steel City Warrior knocks this Nautilus out. They get the double kill. Another 2 kills going down in the bot lane. Everyone's dying there all of the time. That evens the kills up on these 80 carries and actually puts Grim back in the lead.
Yeah, they're obviously now in a decent position on the Tristana down there, getting a couple kills back and forth. Gonna look pretty decent for the Trist, now working toward what we're presuming to be that Kraken Slayer down there. A couple of plates going across as well, always gonna feel pretty good in her pocket. So now we've got fighting as well up on the top side as well, maybe. Looks like we're actually okay.
Yeah, it looked like Best Turtle was going to be trying to come in for a gank, but mAAd spotted it out, he identified it, he gave a little poke, and going to be able to hold his own. Sometimes you want to dive, but against the 3-0 Sylas, he's got hard CC. It's just a little too risky. It's not the idea. So able to discourage that one, send Best Turtle walking away, and everything's fine. We're chill. someone doesn't have to die this minute. We can go 60 seconds without a kill. That's acceptable every once in a while.
Are you sure? We're 10 minutes in and we've had 15 kills. I'm pretty sure these guys are out for blood this game. And given all of that, the fact that the gold lead is only 1,000, it seems pretty crazy because these kills have been going back and forth pretty darn evenly. The biggest discrepancy, you have to say, is going to be this Cho'Gath, and now Lucian dashing in on the top side.
Yeah, you see Steel City Warrior going into mAAd.
Okay.
He's got his jungler there as backup. mAAd looking at turning it around, sees Best Turtle and says, actually, never mind, gonna walk right back out. Good play from him as soon as he got new information, able to turn around, say, no thank you, sir. You could go ahead and take your trade, that's fine. And well played by Steel City Warrior in an attempt to bait. Unfortunately, they didn't get the kill, but looks like they are going to get the Herald. Havoc there helping out as well. In the meantime, we have a gank on bot lane. Iron has arrived. North is very low. There's a second jump from Grim to make sure the turret shot's not going to be enough. The Nautilus going to fall down. They get the double kill. They're going to be able to get some plates and maybe even this entire turret while that Rift Herald's going down on the top side.
So that's a really big trade in the favor here of Wichita. They're giving up the Herald on the top side, yes, but they are getting far more down on the bot side. They get 2 kills, they're going to get a significant amount of plating gold as well. Not that, they get the first brick turret down as well. Hopefully they try and funnel the majority of this into the Tristana here, and they do indeed. This is going to be their lead carry out of the bot side, especially out of the 3 members that were there. You definitely want the most gold going on your Tristana. My bud, just being a little bit BM here, knows that he's going to be able to interrupt the recall of Havoc, but makes Havoc do it himself. Does get knocked up for his pleasure, but overall still very worthwhile to stop that base.
Yeah, and I want to bring up something that just happens a lot, that we see a lot, is teams trade for this Rift Herald. It's Rift Herald in a game like this, if you're Mad City. The realistic expectation of a 10-minute Rift Herald is that you're going to get 3 plates with it. That's 360 gold. You can split it up among 2 or 3 people if you want. Not going to get to keep talking because we have an engage on the mid lane. mAAd is going in. There's a Nami to support. Havoc going to go down, uses the feast, but it's not nearly enough. We see mAAd having to flash out. Teleports in for P-But Nutter. mAAd goes back in onto Steel City Warrior. Getting knocked up, though. The Lucian's doing enough damage. He's going to get that kill. The Shockwave is flashed away from. They're going to grab that free kill onto the Silas. It costs them a lot of health. They're relatively weak. They might have to give up the Dragon because of it, but they do get the kill and the shutdown onto mAAd.
So that's some good cash injection right back here for Mad City. They're going to be happy that they at least get that shutdown. They are probably going to have to concede this Dragon, but
they're not going to, though. Turtle. Here comes the teleport, so they're looking for it. They want the play, and Wichita Wolves realize they've got it coming in. They're backing off. Here comes the teleport from mAAd, though. He's up. He has TP. Now it should be their Dragon again. They've got the pit. They've got the daisy bushes. The Dragon's going to reset. You have a Tristana jumping onto the Cho'Gath. Look at that damage. There goes Havoc. He's 0-4, not having a good time. So they are going to secure the Dragon. They are going to secure a kill. In the meantime, they get Mad City get the plate mid. They drop the Herald, get a few more plates, but mAAd out for blood. Sees Best Turtle RU. Xin Zhao cannot get away from something like this. He's going to get CC'd and die if he gets hit by anything. The stun misses. Xin Zhao running for his life. I'm not sure he can get away from Silas. There's the damage. He pops his ultimate as well. Now the Nautilus is the focus. Grim jumping in. The kill goes to the Orianna. Whew. So much.
That's a lot of action here. The Dragon going over to Wichita. A couple of kills going in their pocket as well. You can see that things are slowly starting to tip into their favor. The seesaw, which had been teetering back and forth previously, now becoming very much Wichita Wolves favored. They're now going to try and focus down this mid-tier 1 turret as well. Going to be able to get a fair few plates out of this. Maybe won't be able to secure the whole turret since plates are still up for another 15 seconds. If they'd have come a wave later, maybe that turret may have been felled. But you're just getting a glimpse here of how strong Grim is. The focus of the bot side for the Tristana has definitely paid off. That Kraken Slayer taking Havoc down in a bit over a combo, right? With the 2-level disadvantage. We're not expecting Tristana to be ripping through the front line quite yet, but able to get off a significant amount of damage, get the reset of the explosive charge, jumps on in again, finishes off the job that he so well started off, and manages to pick up that Cho'Gath. And across the board, it's looking pretty dire for Mad City. Their single shining light right now going to be this Lucian coming out of the top lane. Level 10, looking pretty strong for his team, but when you compare it to the rest of the squad that Wichita Wolves have got, You're fighting up against a 6-kill Tristana, 4-kill Silas. This Lucian is going to have to be playing it pixel perfect if he wants to have even a chance of carrying this game.
Yeah, and something worth pointing out, if we get a breather, Best Turtle going for a fight. The hook is on to Nami. Superstar going to flash away. Still probably going to fall. He does, but there's a revenge kill. And now North is the target. Steel City Warrior is the target. Mad City took that fight, but they did not want it. They lose the trade 1 for 3. Not even going to worry about that. I wanted to talk about something, and I'm going to talk about it, which is that part of the reason why this Cho'Gath died so fast, Rude Dude, is if you look at this build, this is a team with no tank, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be an Everfrost Cho'Gath.
Now, Everfrost is a very strong item, but when your team has no front line, and well, my bud, you know
my bud taking a fight, you don't win those ones, buddy. He didn't really hit with anything, and he dies.
The power of minions. Hey, you know, if you've got a skill shot that gets blocked, those minions going to do work for you right there. Now, contesting over a jungle camp, Grim picks it up.
Yeah,
Daisy
I think
denies them.
mAAd can bake that play against everyone other than the 4-1 Lucian, right?
You're right, yeah.
No one else is going for that. I think you just... Sometimes you don't realize, oh, there goes Nami again.
Right, this is a slight weakness of the Nami, right? That Nautilus. This is why Nautilus counts as Nami, and I think that in that situation, Nautilus counts as everyone. If your support's out solo warding 1v3, they're gonna die. Short of having Shen, Nocturne, Twisted Fate on your team, you're pretty much done for. So now Nami getting a little bit caught out there, going a little bit too far in, trying to get vision. You can understand it. The support of the top side was close, but unfortunately not quite close enough. And it is actually going to result in Mad City getting themselves a mid-tier 1 turret as well, which is pretty big here. Gives them a lot of chances to make vision plays inside the enemy's jungle and get that sort of vision established for the future objectives. We've got 2 Drakes already on Wichita Wolves, so there's no doubt that Mad City are going to try and deny the Ocean Soul that will be coming at some point. But it's going to be a hard-fought task for them. They're still down 3k gold. They still have to fight up against this Tristana with 2 items. And Silas, even though you lost the 1v1, is still very scary.
Yeah, and I think it's a little funny, right? As soon as we mentioned, well, finally Wichita Wolves, they are the undefeated team here. You kind of have to figure they're the slight favorites coming in. These 2 teams were close in their first matchup, but Wichita Wolves have looked a little stronger with a bit of a lead. You're thinking maybe at some point they're going to blow the game open. The lead will start snowballing finally, and they'll be able to start, you know, putting their lead towards actually closing out and winning this game. As soon as we say the seesaw is going their way and sliding further and further along, what happens, Mad? They pick up a kill, they pick up a turret, and they bring it back closer again. This isn't necessarily where they want to be, you know. 3k gold at 17.5 minutes isn't an insurmountable or massive lead, but it's certainly a big favorite for Wichita Wolves. And with a dragon coming up now, it's starting to become a little dire for Mad, but they've shown they know what to do. They know who they can go for. There's a Nami walking at them, and they're not going to throw out the hook. I thought Superstar going to go down. Now Grim running at this team. They're retreating into the bush. Daisy is summoned. The Orianna's just sitting in top lane. Silas farming bot at the same time. Everyone from Mad is here. They are ready to go for this dragon, but Wichita are the ones that start it. They've got it slowly burning down. Here comes the teleport. There comes the tidal wave. The hook is on to Superstar. The Nami is gone once again. The dragon is low. You see Best Turtle flashes in, is able to secure that with the smite. So they get the kill. They get the dragon. The shockwave hits forward. What a shockwave from this Orianna. They're going to turn the fight back around, but Grim not able to get the job done. He picks up a couple, but it's still going to be the ace. Oh, actually, mAAd not down yet, and mAAd very strong. There's no Lucian here to shut him down this time. He's healing so much, there's no healing reduction. Best Turtle, are you going to try and run away? There is no hope for him to get out. The Everfrost going to root him. I said it was an ace. It's actually an ace going the other way. It's Wichita Wolves to pick up 5 kills. Steel City Warrior had respawned in time. So we have a 5 for 4, but the dragon goes over to Mad. Ton of kills go over to everyone. I mean, what a shockwave, what a play from both of these teams. Wow.
I mean, Best Turtle, oh my.
Oh no.
Give the man a break, guys. Cole, take it away, my dude. It looks like he's probably going to get away. Everfrost is a lovely item, very, very balanced here with a 20-second cooldown that he can just fire that one away as well. So everybody's going to reset, hopefully. I mean, most of the teams have already reset. They all died and they've now respawned and coming back out of their bases. But Two really big plays right there. Best turtle with what I'm going to dub the Zinsec right there, except it was a reverse because he flashed in, ulted everybody away from the pit, secured the dragon for himself, and then off the back of it, a really nice response from Peanut Butter. You could see it. He left the ball in the middle of the river. He was like, hey guys, yeah, chase us. We're nice and tasty, but Grim on the top side going for Steel City Warrior.
Yep, here's a fight. The Tristana has that Nami E, which means those auto attacks come with slows. Steel City Warrior tries his best, but going to fall. The Trist is just way, way too big. If Grim is walking at you and you don't have someone ready to CC that Tristana, you're going to go down. They pick up the kill on the solution, and this should buy them a little bit of pressure on the map.
Should buy them quite a bit here. We're broaching and have now surpassed that 20-minute marker, so we're with the potential of Baron, but Steel
Well, here
City
comes
Warrior.
a Steel City Warrior walking at him, going to land the hook onto the Tristana, but here comes the teleport. Can they burn the Tristana in time? The Feast is going to get that kill, but mAAd arrives to the scene. This Sylas is big, this Sylas is scary. There's no one that can shut him down. Till the Lucian teleports in, he's going to have to start running away. North now chasing him down, Havoc running away. Here comes High on the Ivern. Peanut Butter in the jungle chasing everyone down. We're not fighting over anything in particular. Sure, there's a Baron. Neither team really planning on taking it with 80 carries taken down. So we're just scrapping. We're just tussling. End of the day, I believe it's only a 1-for-1. Lots of summoners burned, though.
Tristana got a double in that exchange. The explosive charge going off actually dealt a ridiculous amount of damage here. With 3 completed items, this Trist is absolutely no joke right here. That everybody needs to be focusing her down. Even with Sylas, even with Ori, Trist will just run through your team.
Well, here comes a pick onto the Nautilus, starting to look a little bit like Nami. Supports on both teams just keep dying. Dude, they're just getting caught looking for wards. We have 8 deaths on this Nautilus, 6 deaths on this Nami. But that death on the Nautilus is going to open the window for Wichita Wolves to go for Baron. They've started it up, and mAAd has no idea. No one's even close. They have no hope of contesting it. That is just going to be Baron going over.
No wards to scout forward with. There is a blue vision ward on North, but that is not going to steal you a Baron. They could have walked in with Feast available and Zinzao Smite, but if they don't get it, it's just not worth the risk here. They have the potential to hold off against a Baron Siege. It might not seem quite like it, but they've got Kai'Sa with average wave clear, Lucian piercing light, can wave clear, Cho'Gath as well, has a lot of AoE spells. Even with the Baron, there's an opportunity for them to at least prevent some sort of engages and some sort of sieges here with all of those creeps. But you need to be careful if you're looking at this from the Mad City Mirage side. You've just given over Baron. You're now 6,000 gold down, and if you can hold on to your base, then this is a good opportunity to start getting a lot of farm back in and make sure that you're getting your items on the carries that matter. Worth noting that around the dragon fight that happened about 4 or 5 minutes ago, Kai'Sa actually got a big injection, was able to pick up the 1,000 gold bounty sat on Grim's head, so slightly propelled herself a little bit further into this game, currently sitting on 2.5 items as opposed to the Tristana's 3, so the gap slightly closed there with that kill, but Lucian looking for something in this little tri-brush, and whilst they've got some decent wave clear, trying to get to this long-range cannon minion going to prove quite the difficult task.
Yep, and we see Wichita Wolves, they're using this cannon, they're sieging up this mid-turret, and now with the dragon spawning in only another 5 seconds, they'll use that pressure and that priority that they had to pull back towards the dragon. They're going to force mAAd to face check. Whoever face checks in this game has been dying a whole lot, so it's really a good idea. They're starting the dragon up. You see mAAd really hesitant to approach. Their vision is there. They're going to blast code over the wall. It's going to get secured by the Tristana of all people. Now there's a Zinzao and a Cho'Gath on the wrong side of the wall. There's a Nautilus in no man's land. Steel City Warrior, what are you doing there? Going to fall down. They're going to get the dragon. They're going to get the kill. And now with Baron pressure, back to mid lane they go. They're going to keep pushing.
They got about a minute left on this buff, and they should be looking to break some inhibitor turrets here. Inhibitor would be the dream right now. Obviously, with just a single kill, they don't have, free reign overtaking whatever they so desire here. But they should be definitely looking to find something.
Well, here comes a dive. mAAd on this Sylas. The buster shot from Grim going to follow it up, getting the kill onto this Lucian. They're going back in a second time. The Cho'Gath is going to fall. It's North versus the world. Best Turtle recalling or coming out of base to try and save the day. There's a hook onto this Sylas, but look at the healing, look at the shields, look at the damage as he takes down another 2. Grim going to jump in and clean up the last one. That is an ace, and with Baron still on the side of Wichita Wolves, that is going to be game, Rude Dude. They just run it through mid, they dive a couple times in a row, and they close out the game on the spot. It's a 24-minute win with 47 kills.
Action from the start to the end here, Cole. Just left, right, center, mid, top, bot. There was a minute, about 3.5 minutes in, where you didn't stop talking for a solid like seconds on end, and everywhere was just popping off. I said they couldn't end with just one member dead. What do Wichita Wolves do? They dive the turrets and they kill everybody else on Mad City Mirage. They are the deserved victors of game number 1, and they're here to make a statement tonight.
And what a game. I mean, at this level, sometimes you show up and you just get one of these slow, kind of positional, dragon stacky games where there's a kill every 5 minutes and a couple team fights, and whoever wins those team fights wins the game. This game, I mean, what could be said other than people were just dropping all over the place all the time? Neither team afraid of fighting, neither team afraid of teleporting and trying to make something happen. It was relatively close for a while there, but eventually the kills being stockpiled onto the relevant carries for Wichita Wolves just became a little too powerful. mAAd and Grim both got so strong, so unstoppable that they ran the game right over.
And with that, right, the Tristana just so strong. They were able indeed to completely dominate, really, post about 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, 15 minutes when they'd gotten to that dragon fight. It maybe looked like it could turn back into Mad City's favor, but the Silas, that secondary carry that we'd been assured could do stuff here, mAAd. You've been hyping him up since champion select, and he was more than worth the hype. Got himself exactly what he needed to do in those team fights, and you were quite right here. Just with that extra health that he was picking up from that Cho'Gath lane opponent, was able to take the fights and tanky enough in his health pool to find those kills in the team fights when it mattered the most, and coming out on top here.
Well, in any case, the most exciting thing about a game like that, Rude Dude, is that we still have at least one more game to go. So we need to take a quick break as we wait to get into lobby and champion select for that second game. We'll be cutting to a brief intermission, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes to bring you game 2 of this very fun matchup. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Risen Esports Divine League. We just wrapped up a absolute banger of a Game 1 between Mad City Mirage and Wichita Wolves. We're getting you right into the draft here for Game 2. We had 47 kills in 24 minutes. Draft going about as fast as that game did. Gragas Hecarim already banned. And I mean, do we want to talk about that game a little more while we wait for these bans to keep filing in?
I think we've got the opportunity to, right? That was just action from start to finish, that we didn't really get to touch on some of the specifics of what made that game quite so one-sided about in the end stages right there. The fact that Tristana got all of those kills down on the bot side obviously was a pretty key factor, but most of that comes back round to this Nami pick into the Nautilus that we'd sort of deemed as probably a bit weaker than anticipated, but then coming out proving that certainly myself wrong. And granted, Superstar definitely got caught a little bit in the mid game, but was still doing exactly what was needed to when the Tristana was nearby. And there was a Xin Zhao build that was very AD oriented, very assassin focused, and Xin Zhao is renowned for, of course, when being behind, being rather useless. So maybe the diversification in builds could have come through, but at that point, you're filling the role of a Rek'Sai as your job is to kill somebody. If you don't kill someone, unlucky.
Yeah, I think it just didn't quite work out the way Mad City hoped it would. I mean, there was a lot that almost went well, right? Like, they got that first blood in top lane, they got their Lucian ahead, they got my fire alarm to go off. I'll be right back.
Not to worry here. You're quite right, though, that everything looked pretty good from the start to the finish from Wichita, even though they were giving kills, taking trades in fashion that maybe wasn't quite so coherent and quite so successful as they would have liked. They definitely had a good position, and they definitely obviously came out with the game. But we've got time now to talk about this draft, because we have got some very spicy picks once again here. This is far from what we would dub the norm in the current meta right here. Vayne Lulu picked up down on the bot side here for Wichita Wolves. They've got the Galio now presumably in the mid lane, and the bot lane answer, or rather the bot lane that had been blind picked, going to be Ezreal Bard. Probably one of the safest bot lanes you will see here, but you can recognize that Wichita Wolves have gone, well, you're playing something safe with no kill pressure. We're just going to get something that's going to sit back, is going to farm up, and going to be an absolute monster during that late game. And now Wichita, with a response of their own here, picking a nice answer to the Galio in the mid lane, and also having something that might just have the potential to deal with Vayne in the late game. That Event Horizon is going to be potent when not only keeping the Vayne inside a nicely condensed box, but also preventing the Galio from hitting that Justice Punch as he would so love to for those engages. Now, of course, we are into our second ban phase here, and this is where you can see Mad City Mirage taking a little bit of a jab at what was so successful for Wichita Wolves in game number 1, that Ivern being taken off the board here. Lilia as a response, the jungle pool getting narrow and narrower by the second right here. The Gragas as well, you could argue, was a bit of a flex into the jungle. The Hecarim most definitely that B1 pick that they did not want. And Olaf getting taken away as well. With all of these jungle bans right here, you have to imagine that the Mad City Mirage squad have got something on their mind for this R4 slot, taking away so many junglers. You have to imagine that there's something that they're deeming high priority and wanting to get for themselves. Now, of course, they also have to think about what their blind pick is going to be, because they don't actually, or rather what their answer to the top lane pick is going to be, because it is going to be Mad City that have to pick a blind top laner.
Yeah, and that's something you see in drafts a lot, right? Is Red Side just always wants to hold the counter pick for top lane. It's where the lane matchup is the most important factor on the map. Some top lane counters can just be unplayable, some can be unwinnable, and with mAAd being as strong as he is as a player, you kind of want to make sure that you're not sending Steel City Warrior into a tough matchup. So, naturally, they're going to blind pick the Camille. Now, this is a reasonable pickup because Jax is the stereotypical counter to that, and Jax is, of course, banned by Wichita Wolves, so can't go with that, but there are other champions that could be played into Camille, and we'll have to see which one Wichita Wolves decide to go with.
Most notably, Renekton, traditionally an answer to the Camille as well, could very easily just be picked up right here. And this is now going to give first reign of a jungle pick to Wichita Wolves as well, with the Harshened pool that we talked about. They're going to get their hands on what we're going to deem some more lower priority junglers. Of course, Udyr did get hit this patch, and Skarner as well, still on the board, but these are two champions that could still very well see some resurgence. Obviously, into the likes of a Vayne, you don't really want to be picking those true tanks, but you might have to just take something as an answer at some point here. The Sejuani getting locked in, it looks like, and indeed it does so. Pantheon potentially going to the top lane, Sejuani in the jungle. It's a fairly decent front line for the Vayne to just continue harassing from behind.
I'm curious what this pick is going to be. Usually a last pick jungle with a lot of jungle bans kind of starts to tick off my spiciness radar a little bit. That makes you start thinking that they're considering something like a Karthus or a Talia or one of these kind of more off the beaten path junglers that doesn't have some good matchups. Trundle is not one of those picks, and really makes me wonder why they wanted jungle counterpick so bad. I mean, he's good into Sejuani is the idea, right? You press the subjugation on the Sejuani. If she has Aftershock active, then you send her to like -30 armor and MR and completely invalidate her existence. Very good.
Traditional Sejuani answer, right? That you
Yeah.
definitely want if you have the option of as well. Trundle, quite decent into Vayne, and not because of the traditional sense that she can duel the Vayne, but more so that that pillar is going to be an absolute nightmare for the Vayne to try and work around. If we see what is this sort of new age Trundle build that I've seen lurking around, going into a timeout first item and then exclusively tanky supportish items, you become a pillar bot. That is your role in this composition. And when the Wichita Wolves have drafted themselves a single carry composition in the late game, let's not beat about the bush here. Pantheon in the late game, not going to be as potent a Thors as he is in the early game. Similarly, the Galio, the scaling, really not in his favor there. So you are banking heavily on this Vayne. And if you're playing Trundle, your sole job, the exclusive role that you provide, is to make that Vayne's life a living hell. Make sure that she cannot do what she wants to do. Put that pillar right in the middle. Make it so that she's got this new terrain to try and traverse around. If you can subjugate the Sejuani with Aftershock, perfect. But if you're interfering with Vayne, that is the best case scenario.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that there are some relatively reliable tools to lock down this Vayne on the side of Mad City. They have this Camille with the Hextech Ultimatum. You can say, well, you're stuck in here. There's no QSS for that. You're stuck in that terrain. The Vigard Cage can similarly layer on top of that and restrict movement even more, and that can make it a little difficult for Grim on this Vayne to succeed. But you're going to be picking a QSS up on this Vayne. There's just no way around it. You have this Lulu to support you. I mean, it's a protect the Vayne comp against a team that has tools to kill the Vayne. It's kind of the unbreakable force versus the unstoppable object in a way. And it's just a matter of who's able to execute their game plan faster and earlier. If Mad City are able to get a lead, get ahead, and start popping these teammates of Vayne who are trying to support her, a Vayne on her own cannot do it. The Vayne needs this Galio with this crowd control and disruption. She needs the Lulu with the movement speed and the wild growth. The Sejuani needs to be pulling off these engages here and there and being a front line so that Camille can't just dive onto Vayne in every fight. And so, I mean, you're right. This is 100%. It is a protect the Vayne comp, but it's funny how these comps work where how Vayne does in the early game is almost a little less relevant than how the rest of the team does. And as long as your team is there and strong to support the Vayne, then the Vayne can make it happen from there.
Well, it's going to be the goal for Wichita, and I like the fact that we've talked about this early game and the early game impact of the Vayne, because it doesn't need to exist. Vayne doesn't have a great early game into Ezreal, a traditional AD carry counter in the Vayne's favor, but it's not a big deal for the most part. You're looking at the top side champions that Wichita have drafted for themselves. Pantheon and Galio notoriously strong in their early game, and then typically trending toward that downward trajectory in the later stages of the game. Of course, reworked Pantheon got a little bit of a boost to his late game, but he still follows that similar sort of path. Sejuani, though, incredibly strong tank at pretty much all stages of the game. In fact, probably wanting a little bit of time to reach level 6 and complete that first armor item at the most. You're looking to the top side for Wichita Wolves is the main point here, because they've got this Galio, they've got this Pantheon, a lot of lockdown, a lot of CC, the potential to shut down Camille in the early game, to shut down the Vigar in the early stages is very abundant. And if Wichita are able to converge on that and execute that point, doesn't matter how far ahead or behind the Vayne is, because she'll just be freely farming and will have all the space in the world that is generated by these three top-sided champions.
Yeah, and kind of the flip side to that with what mAAd City wants to do is it can be tempting against these types of compositions to say, well, let's just put the Vayne so far behind that it doesn't matter. Let's dive bot lane over and over again. And that's bait in this game. You can't do that. There's a Galio and a Pantheon that is two different semi-globals that can both arrive to the scene and shut down a dive in very effective fashion. You need to be attacking these globals from mAAd City's side, and you need to be making it happen. And I think for them, the key to the game, as weird as it seems, is probably this Vigar in mid lane. I think you want to be making plays with Havoc. You want this Vigar to be getting ahead. You want him to turn into the kind of monster that can pop a tank from half health with his R. Because if you get that happening, you have so much less to worry about. You just don't need to be that respectful of anyone on Wichita Wolves or how they're positioning. And I think that's the easiest win condition, because if you're attacking the Galio, Galio can't make that heroic entrance to save himself. And that makes him probably the easiest and most vulnerable target for mAAd City to focus down.
It's kind of Thresh syndrome, right, with the Galio, that yes, you have this ulti that saves your teammates, and you don't really have all that much peel for yourself, especially against a Vigar. The Justice Punch, Galio's typical escape, gets stopped. The Event Horizon does the best job in the world at just preventing Galio from going anywhere, so you really are sort of penned in. The zone control that mAAd City have got for themselves is relatively abundant here. They've obviously got Cades, they're going to have Trundle Pillar putting up. You can imagine a teamfight scenario in and around the river where an entire corridor is just blocked off by various different skills that are in the pockets of mAAd City.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting and dynamic battle here. If what we saw in Game 1 is any indication, there's going to be so many kills that any of the high-level macro stuff, it's not going to matter. It's just who can kill who more. So, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be loading into the Rift in just a couple moments, and we'll be back with Game 2 in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. As a very quick loading screen. Oh, moment.
Wow. Just a moment, you're damn right it is.
No kidding. Alright. Talking over fights less, especially when they're really obvious. Letting you roll, letting you past me. I got this. Do it. I'm at 5. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Rift here for Game 2 of mAAd City Mirage versus Wichita Wolves Black. My name is Coleslaw. Joining me on the cast here is Rude Dude. We've got everyone fanning out this game. Less cheeky level 1 action. Rude Dude, how you going? What are you expecting? What's going to happen this game?
Whew, that's a front-loaded question here, Cole, but I do anticipate some top-side action here. With the bot lanes that have been drafted, if we get action down there, I'm going to be incredibly surprised, and it is going to be revolving around those junglers. But with Ezreal Bard on one side, Vayne Lulu on the other, it is very clear what these champions want to do. They want to sit back, they want to wait, they want to get a couple of items before anything happens. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of what happens on this top side, I want to draw your attention to the keystones of choice for particularly the junglers. Sejuani, of course, going for the Hail of Blades, and you touched on this a little bit in the draft here, Cole, that, well, Sejuani with Aftershock that gets ulted by Trundle makes Trundle incredibly tanky, makes Sejuani the exact opposite. that Hail of Blades is a nice happy medium where you can easily proc your passive and stun up a target, which will have added access down on the bot side, because on the top side you have double melee, who can stack that passive anyway.
Yeah, and this is a more recent tech on Sejuani. Is it used to actually be Fleet Footwork was the rune that you took on her for the movement speed, but with runes being changed all the time and the synergy with her E just a little too good with Halo Blades, that has become the more common take on her. And when Aftershock, I mean, it's basically illegal. You cannot run Aftershock on Sejuani into Trundle. It's a really good way to kind of adapt to that and a good way to adjust to the counter pick. Now, it's still very good for Trundle because she also has her passive, and that also gives her a ton of free resistances that eventually go away. So if Trundle's ulting her when that's up, then he's still stealing away a ton and leaving her way less tanky than she should be. So that's going to be fun to watch. It kind of means that Best Turtle's always pressing R on Ein here. That's the way that jungle matchup goes. That's why you're counterpicking with Trundle. But as you said, that's kind of a backdrop to just putting a pillar at Vayne's feet every time you can.
Of course, we have to get to the point where those pillars become pivotal, right? This early game, we can see the junglers taking themselves a very farm-oriented path. The Trundle maybe wanting a bit more of an action-packed early game here, because he's path to miss his Raptors, miss his Golems, and I can see a very spicy top lane situation brewing. The lane in the middle right now, the potential for jungle ganks is ripe. And Trundle moving his way through the top side brush right here. Pantheon with no innate escapes. Very susceptible to ganks and could very easily burn his flash on the top side if Best Turtle does opt into that play.
Yeah, the lane wasn't really in a position for Trundle to gank. He is relatively strong as a fighter early, but he struggles to kind of get on top of people and actually make the fights happen if they don't want to opt in. It's pretty easy to counter a Trundle by walking in the opposite direction, or just walking at him with more people. He's going to be scrapping for the Scuttle Crab, able to smite it away. You see a flash being burned by Peanut Nutter to get out of the event horizon. Steel City Warrior not going to be able to find anything with that hook shot. And it's going to be just a free summoner blown and a crab going over to mAAd.
Big advantage there. Now bot side is going to be quick disengage, nothing too untoward. Grim, careful. Good little trades back and forth. On that top side, everything pretty much going the favour, though, of Mad City. And now we might see a very similar situation on bot.
Yep, you see them trying to chase this Trundle. He does have a flash in worst case scenario. Everyone wants the crab. Everyone wants a fight. Grim going to flash, but gets stunned anyway. Trying to get onto North, and he's going to get over the wall. You see Best Turtle flashing out of danger. Steel City Warrior going to pick up the kill onto Grim with a single auto attack. The health bars are low. The mana bars are low. Havoc trying to run for his life. He tries to walk to the portal, but he's not able to get in. CC'd out of it. And now it's a chase down. Flash is burned on everyone, and Arcane Shift's going to save North, but it's not going to save Steel City Warrior. The Bard is going to fall, and now Best Turtle in an awkward spot here. Superstar Lulu menacingly walking and not going to get a kill.
Wow, that fight just incredibly close at all junctures there. There was about 800 HP split between 8 champions down there. That was incredibly tight, and it comes down to those micro interactions. Unfortunately for Wichita Wolves, they're the ones that come out on top. They finally get themselves the Scuttle Crab after all of that, what the hot pursuit was for in the first place. Sejuani does pick up that Scuttler and is able to now even up what the Trundle managed to achieve with those Scuttle Crabs. Was power farming for the most part. Havoc trying to find a little bit of trade in the mid lane, but you can recognise that Galio able to get away with Justice Punch the second that event horizon gets taken away.
Yeah, he's going to get the backstop though, and actually Pew and I are going to take that W. This is a fun thing about Vigars. Added a couple of years ago, but still I think one of the more satisfying things is you get hit by an ability like that, you're just giving Vigar 1 AP for the rest of the game. Every single ability hit on a champion gives him AP, so always better to walk away if you see it coming rather than wait for it to stop your recall. Just save that 1 AP, it's worth, how much is it? Like 15 gold?
Yeah, about that. I actually ran the numbers. I've got a document somewhere that has every stat just stacked and piled up. So, giving over gold for free, never what you want to be doing. And of course, that is a fairly standard philosophy to be living by in League of Legends. That you don't want to be doing that off your free whim here. The points across this early game, though, we did see action, of course, come through that bot side. It was at the hand of those junglers, but We need to start seeing who's reaping the rewards of that. The mid lane, you can see 101 Galio, 10 CS to the good. This Veigar was not anticipated to have a good early game, but now down this kill lead, down the gold as well, really feeling the bad end of that.
Yeah, and I think that's acceptable if you're locking in the Veigar. He also was able to pick up a wave that kind of evened that CS differential out a little bit between when you started and finished that thought. But yeah, I mean, and Veigar has a lot of pressure just because if there's ever a jungle gank, he just has a ton of damage. Even against someone like Galio, the Veigar can be really threatening, especially if this Galio is going AP. You see the Hextech Alternator, which is an indication that we're going to probably see the, it's not Proto Belt, Rocket Belt is the item. Yeah. So this is not going to be a Galio on the tankier side, which means that Havoc, if he gets AP, especially when he's able to complete his Rabadons, will actually be really threatening towards this Galio, whereas a more defensively minded build might be more susceptible to damage from this Veigar.
Especially when they're playing this Protect the Vayne comp, right? The magic damage that you're putting out on Galio is nice, it's a good supplement, but it's not going to be the thing that carries you and wins the game, or at least in the later stages. Right now, he's hitting what is about to be his peak with that Rocket Belt when that comes through. Galio about as strong as it gets, potentially a 2-item spike, but here he comes down on the bot side now.
Yep, we have a gank. You see the magical journey going to be able to get out, but North not able to get into it. You just saw the stun into the condemn, into the whimsy, or the polymorph rather, and that Ezreal just doesn't have a way to get out of there. Gets CC'd locked and goes down. That's a kill going over to Grim on this Vayne, and they're going to be able to turn their attention to the dragon. So Wichita Wolves striking in a more precise way. It's much slower than last game, rather than, 15 kills in a row. Well, I say that, and the Bard probably going to go down here, but...
Quick little donation. You can't be too correct on a cast now. We got to throw a little bit of spice in there here, and it's worth noting again that the last time these two teams played, it was 2-1. By all intents and purposes, a very close series. This time round, I don't know about you, I'm not getting those same vibes. It feels to me as though Wichita are just the better team right now. They've got themselves a chance at a gank in the mid lane, though.
Yep, you see this Galio stuck inside the cage. He does have flash, though. The teleport's coming in. The Glacial Prison going to go wide. The stun going to be juked by Steel City Warrior, but despite the misses, despite the jukes, it's not enough. He's going to go down. There's another excellent Event Horizon. Best Turtle's still going to have to run away. There's a kill coming out from Havoc. That Veigar execute damage, doing big work. They're chasing down the Galio. The Arcane Mirage going to do some damage, and now Ein running away. There's a Bard ult onto the turret to deny it. That means that there's no need to worry about diving. They're going to pick up that kill. So it starts with 1 for Wichita Wolves onto this Camille, and then they keep pushing it. They overstay their welcome, and they give 3 right back, and 2 in particular to the Veigar. And that's a huge deal for mAAD, because that means that Havoc just going to pick up so much AP from that play as well. Another thing to mention, it's 5 AP per takedown, so you get 3 takedowns. You just basically gave that Veigar an extra amp tome in gold, which is huge. It's a big deal, and it gives them a win con.
15 AP from all those shutdowns, an extra abundance of gold as well from all of the stats that he's getting from just hitting them, let alone taking them down. And also the fact that he has that Dark Seal in his inventory now on 5 stacks here is going to be quite nice for him as well. Gets 5 AP per stack right there. So that's going to be an extra 25. I had a quick look. 21.75 gold per ability power that you get from a single point of ability power right there. So a little tidbit for anybody at home. Has got himself the Lucidity Boots as well, and is looking to try now with a gank on the top side. mAAd, but in danger.
Yep, this is a Pantheon with Flash. This is a Camille without Flash, so Steel City Warrior kind of low. There's a good pillar. He flashes over the wall, but he goes down. This Camille has no HP left. Going to fall to the teleport from this Galio. It's going to be a 1-for-1, but it's going to cost way more summoners for Wichita Wolves. They have to burn the Flash on their Pantheon, the teleport on their Galio. They don't even get to deny a wave, because Best Turtle is here to catch it.
They might be fighting bot here.
Yeah, this will be fine. Actually, there's an excellent wild growth to knock the Bard out of the portal. It's a very good trade, but no kills going down.
It looks a little bit grief, right? But that flash wild growth was almost the difference between finding the kill and not getting it right there. If Vayne could have got a single extra auto, Steel City Warrior with 2 procs of that silver bolt on him would have gone down to that third. So it's a game of margins, a game of inches, and fortunately there for mAAd City, they come out on the better end of it here. So Grim not going to get his 3rd kill of the game, but you can see that the bot side looking pretty decent for Wichita here. They've got themselves a Vayne 2-1-0 up a wave in CS, now securing a lot of plates, and with the Herald going down as well, going to probably be able to secure the entire turret. That's a really good Bard ulti.
Yeah, you see the Bard ultimate, the Tempered Fate, can deny the Herald charge if you time it just right. And that's exactly what happens. The turret would have fallen if not for the Tempered Fate. You're thinking, okay, well, they're about to get first brick. They're about to funnel it onto the Vayne. This is a dream scenario for Wichita Wolves. And just one ability from Steel City Warrior says, nope, actually, you're only going to get 3 plates. It's not a huge win for mAAd City. You don't really want to give 3 plates away in the first place, but it's better than giving up 5 and a turret. So well played, well executed, and good denial from this Bard. I mean, that's the closest you get in League of Legends. If you've ever played Dota, you know, you have the self-denying your own creeps by last hitting them instead. That's almost reminiscent of that, where you just have to hit your turret before the Herald can.
It's about as good as it gets right here, and short of playing, I can't remember what it was, but Syndra back in the day when you could try and take away Baron and things like that. That was a fun one to just deny that. But that Bard ulti actually has a lot more repercussions as a factor. We might have to wait and hold it though.
Yeah, we have a gank coming in onto mAAd. This flash is burned this time around, though he's very close to his turret. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get the kill. Steel City Warrior, no. You don't want that. Run away! Taking turret shots, but he'll be fine. They get the heroic entrance out of this Galio as well. Oh, there's an arcane barrage, but it's only going to hit the Galio, not going to hit the... Oh, it didn't even hit the Galio. I was looking on my minimap. I'm surprised. Looked like it really did on the minimap. Must have gone a little wide. Doesn't hit the Pantheon regardless, so no kills going down. Almost for mAAd, just not quite.
It's a good effort. It should have cost them the Drake, though. They do, unfortunately, have to expend Galio ulti in response. That's the reason why Wichita Wolves don't feel confident to go for that one. Obviously, 2 solo lanes on the top side is a lot of resource dedication as opposed to what was just a support roam. We're now looking at this setup for the second dragon, the Infernal one up on the Rift, and it's a good point to take stock of items here. Mythics not completed for anybody except the Galio.
Yep, and we see the fight starting. Oh no, another Glacial Prison goes horribly wide. There's a Tempered Fate onto 2. The teleport's coming in from the Camille. There's an excellent Cosmic Binding from this Bard to stun up 2 more. The Event Horizon stunning up 2. There's so much CC, there's just not enough damage to follow it up. And Grim is in the backline free firing. No one has even hit him until that Dark Matter connects. You see mAAd chasing in. This Pantheon also untouched through most of the fight. Steel City Warrior going to run for his life. Everyone's so low. This Vigar, if he can hit a spell on anyone, they're going to die. You see Ein trying to finish off this dragon. Another hit or 2 from it going to kill him. But Havoc going to... Oh, he was running away. He's coming back in a second time.
So close.
He's looking for it. This is a dangerous game for this Vigar to play. There's a Panther coming from behind him. His days are numbered. His time is limited. The spear's over the wall. Grim is chasing one more auto. And goodbye, Havoc. That's another kill, another dragon. Wichita Wolves grow their gold lead a little bit in a very messy fight.
Dicing with death right there was everybody in that team fight. Wichita at the back end with Sejuani with about 100 HP at one stage in that fight. The Dragon definitely dealing a fair portion of damage during that little exchange between the 2 teams. But overall, it is once again Wichita that come out on top. They're chasing North out of his jungle. They chase Havoc back into his jungle, unfortunately get their kill as well. Overall, those items didn't actually mean a whole lot. Everybody goes back, picks up their mythics. You can see now Kraken Slayer picked up on Vayne. She was sound so much gold. Has gone back, picked up Kraken and a Zeal as well. Incredibly farmed on this Vayne right now. The Pantheon picks up Eclipse. There's a Sunfire, or the rather Iceborne on the Sejuani. Everybody has now got those items ready to go. Where you're looking at it on the side of mAAd City, don't quite have it. Yes, Ezreal's picked up his first item, and typically now we're seeing this build where you kind of don't skip a mythic, but you don't get it till your 3rd item or so, because Essence Reaver and Manamune just have so much priority in his build path. But Vigor, that's definitely not the case, as he's definitely going to be wanting to build up either that Everfrost or that Ludens. It still remains to be seen.
Yeah, and interesting, you actually see the Ionian Boots of Lucidity picked up on this Vigor. That's to give him more cooldown reduction. You want to be spamming Event Horizon as much as possible. We can stop talking about builds because we have a heroic entrance onto Best Turtle. The top laners are collapsing in, the mid laners are collapsing in. Steel City Warrior going to hit the wall and get stunned before he can get a stun back, get knocked up and go down. The Camille wanted the blood, couldn't get it. There's a 3-man tempered fate. It actually denies the Event Horizon from this Vigor, and Havoc now trying to run for his life, pops the cleanse from the Pantheon stun, but there's only so much one Vigor can do. A flash is burned, a kill is gone over, and meanwhile off-screen, Grim must have run down Steel City Warrior because this Vayne has another kill and is starting to get spooky.
This Vayne Lulu is going to be a problem right now, and if the Vigor isn't able to get to that backline, which let's say he shouldn't be able to, it's a Vigor, we're not looking at a Silas here, this is not a dive-oriented champion, then it's going to be very difficult for Mad City to deal any damage to this Vigor, to this Vayne right here. Ezreal going to be doing his best to try and poke, chip damage down before team fights, but you have to imagine, and you can see actually overheal on the Vayne. We've got as well Lifeline coming through in the rune choices at this stage. Got enough lifesteal to be tanking through the majority of the Ezreal poke if you're getting damage off and hitting onto these frontliners. And Ein looking to escort Grim out right here, but here comes the hook shot.
Yep, there's the Hextech ultimatum onto Grim. It's going to get worn off by a Condemn, but Grim does still go down with no Vayne. This fight not favorable, but they're able to get the revenge kill onto North immediately. Another kill onto Best Turtle, and there was no Vigor in the fight. He's most of your damage, so that means it's a 2-for-1. It's a play taken by mAAD. They get the Vayne, they get the shutdown, they get what they're looking for, and they still end up behind on the play overall.
Technically right, net positive in terms of the gold generated. The issue that they're going to run into is the fact the gold went onto the board. The single worst champion that could have picked that one up gets the receival of that 900 gold from the Vayne. So it's a little unfortunate. They get the kill, but honestly, would you rather that or would you rather keep the bounty for a later date? Difficult to say, to be honest. P-Bot Nutter could very well be in danger here, though. No Hextech ultimatum.
Yep, we're going to be chasing this Galio down. He's got the taunt with Superstar there on Lulu. That Galio is out of there. Enough peel is going to be... What was I going to say? I was going to say there's enough peel there to save the Galio. Oh. Is there enough peel to save the Lulu, though? Steel City Warrior going back in again. The Wild Growth comes out. You see lots of pings in every direction. Here comes the Pantheon. Here comes the taunt onto this Trundle. 2-man Cosmic Binding going to save Best Turtle's life for now, but Ein is on the backside making this play happen. Chasing the Trundle down. Steel City Warrior getting chased by a Pantheon. Seems like, no, I was going to say everyone's going to get out, but no. That Bard's very dead. And all the while, once again, Grim just farming, tumbling in, going to try and go onto this Vigor, but bye-bye. That's not legal.
Oh dear. You're quite right. That is not legal. The Everfrost makes up for the sort of zoning Event Horizon, obviously being trapped inside it. It has a little bit of maneuverability that was almost used to its fullest extent. You can see, I'm not sure whether Grim had the Null Magic Mantle before or after dying, but he's definitely working toward that QSS for his third pickup. Despite the fact that the Vayne goes down, it still appears to be that Wichita Wolves are going to be the ones in charge of taking this dragon. They're going to get it seemingly freely. The question now becomes, can they get out alive?
Yeah, you see everyone from mAAD arriving. The Smite Seal actually going to come in. The Hextech ultimatum going to drop. The heroic entrance is interrupted. Pivot Nutter is going to fall. Steel City Warrior falls right back, but Ein going to go down. Bud and Superstar both just stuck in the pit. The Lulu's going to flash out. The Pantheon doesn't have that luxury. It's going to be a 3-for-1 on the backside, and with the Dragon Steel, that is a huge win for Mad City Mirage.
Yeah, incredibly brazen. You were talking about illegal maneuvers. This is another one.
Yeah. A couple flashes burned. Grim fortunate enough to be able to tumble out of the Event Horizon and then has to flash out of the zone. Doesn't get hit up by the Everfrost, is able to stay alive. But, I mean, what was that fight, right? It's you have this comp where you're trying to protect a Vayne. Your Vayne dies and then you go for the dragon? And,
Exactly. That's just... It's unfortunately not the play. And when you have got only that maybe a bit more than a 3k gold lead at the time, but it's not enough to be fighting without your superstar carry right there. So they get punished for it, and quite rightly so. mAAD do clap back. They do find themselves, again, a little bit of solace. It's a little bit reminiscent here of game number 1, but they could be looking toward a very early Baron here. It's not been live for longer than a minute, and they're looking to try and take this one down. Camille bot side has TP, but now we're looking to see if they can get away from this. They should try to turn. This is not the fight they can take while tanking Baron.
Yeah, and there's a little too much zone control coming out from the side of mAAd City, so they are going to engage, they're going to find Havoc, they're going to blow Havoc up, but the health bars are low, they're just not low enough. Grim staying healthy, kiting out of the fight. Steel City Warrior trying to get on top, going to finish off that kill. North going to have to flash over the wall to safety, not able to do enough damage though, and that means that it is going to be a fight in favor of Wichita Wolves. Just not a hard win. They get the 3 for 2, they get the pressure, but they are not able to get enough to secure themselves the Baron.
It is a good injection of gold, but it's overall, again, this sort of 50-50 fighting where you come out on top by just a little bit. It's effectively, it's progressing the pace of the game by giving more kills and more gold over to the carries, where they're going to get gold now where they otherwise wouldn't have done from that team fight. The deaths come through and now everybody's back alive. Steel City Warrior no longer has teleport, which is probably one of your biggest takeaways from this. We're going to be at a point in about 30 seconds or so where Wichita Wolves have got 2 TPs to mAAd City Mirage's none, and if that wasn't bad enough, the 2 characters that have got TP also have semi-global ultimates to try and join these fights. So if there's any sort of cross-map play that it seems to be attempted by Wichita Wolves, that ever-present threat of TP, of the hero's entrance, of the Grand Starfall, all of these things need to be taken into account. They went for an incredibly brazen Baron. They didn't get punished for it entirely, but they didn't get it. So we're going to reach that point again now where Vayne can shred through a Baron and can very easily try and take this one. So for mAAd City Mirage, they need to constantly have vision. They need to constantly be aware, because this big purple worm is definitely up for the slaying.
Yeah, and I think it's tough for them to make plays, right? Is when you pick a Camille, it's kind of with the hope and intention of using her as a side lane champion. She is one of the strongest 1v1 duelists in the game. She can dive just about everyone, but that's not an option on the table when you're against a Galio and a Pantheon that both have teleport. She can't get pressure inside lane. She can't push forward. It means that they're not able to force an answer. They have to respect this Baron at all times, as you said. Here comes the teleport. The Baron going down very low already. The Vigar is not here. There's basically no hope for mAAd to be able to contest this, but there's a 4-man Tempered Fate. They have their jungler able to get into the pit with this portal. He doesn't go, though. They just let the smite go over. Best Turtle decides he doesn't want to try, and they give the Baron up for free.
I was so ready for a Baron steal right there. That was a pixel perfect Tempered Fate. He got everybody on the enemy team and left the Baron sat tantalizing at about 1800 HP. That's within burst range. You're looking at Trundle, he doesn't have the build, but you throw a couple of Vigar and Ezreal skill shots in, you throw Trundle Smite in the mix, it's anybody's guess, and especially in Stasis, you should have given that one over to mAAd City right there. It was all off the back of this Bard play. Unfortunately, they don't reap the rewards of it, and now with that Baron buff at their side, this game could very well be over sooner than we might think here. The Dragon is going to be the next point of contention. We imagine that that fight will ensue, because there's not going to be too much that mAAd City Mirage wants to be giving over now that they've also given over the Baron. They have got 2 items on their carries, Vigar and Ezreal, at a point where they should be dealing substantial damage now. So if they're ever trying to take a fight, that would have been it. This will be it, and this should very well be the setup, the vision, looking like it's in favour a little bit of mAAd City, given they had the opportunity to go back through the enemy's jungle. But you can see Wichita Wolves, they've got priority over mid lane. Now they could very well look to try and disrupt this Dragon. Started up by mAAd City, but I don't imagine Wichita are going to give this one up.
Yep, you see an Event Horizon that's going to be doing a lot of zoning. The Arcane Barrage goes mostly wide. There's a 4-man taunt from the Scalio. That's going to be the engage that Wichita Wolves are looking for. And already, it's just a cleanup job. A 4-man Tempered Fate only going to buy a little bit of time before the rest of the team falls. Havoc drops an Event Horizon to try and save himself, but there's a QSS on this Vayne. She's able to walk right through it, able to pick up a double kill. That means it's a 4 for 0 in favor of Wichita Wolves. They'll get the Dragon with Baron. They'll get the push, and in fact, they'll get the game. That's a surrender coming in from Mad City Mirage. Wichita Wolves take the series 2-0.
Yeah, that's a firm statement coming out from Wichita right there. This was a battle for first coming into the night. Wichita staked their claim on it with absolute force. They are the best team coming out of their group. And going into the playoffs, they're going to be the ones that are looking strong and looking to battle off against other teams from other groups because they haven't been bested in their own group. So now the sort of question becomes who can best them? And we're looking at the other groups to see if they've got an answer.
Yeah, I mean, this was a matchup that was just for playoff seeding. It wasn't do or die for either of these teams. We have learned pretty conclusively Wichita Wolves, they are first place in this group. They are the dominant team. They finished the regular season undefeated and in dominant style here, especially finishing off with that flare. And now we're going into playoffs. It's double elimination. Mad City, maybe they can hope if this was demoralizing, you can always hope, maybe someone else knocks them out and we'll have a better matchup against them. And I mean, even here, there was enough to make me think that if you just mentally reset, think about it, come back, figure out what went right, what went wrong, especially in game one, they had some things going their way that they just weren't able to capitalize on. So I think these teams could have a closer matchup moving forward, but today it was not close. Today, Wichita Wolves were the dominant team, and they are going to be riding some serious momentum going into the playoffs that are starting just next week.
I mean, this is where it all starts to kick off right now. We've had the regular season, we've had the sort of prelude, the training montage, if you will, before these games actually now mean a real deal here. Because got to remember that playoffs, double elimination, right? So there is a second chance if you do get knocked out in the first stage. But once that is taken out, and for these teams that go into playoffs, if they get themselves a win in the first week, they get a 2-week break or a 1-week break. They get the extra scouting potential. There's a lot of things that are beneficial for winning your first seed. Not only the fact that you obviously win, but the extra break, the extra time, all of that good stuff going in their pocket. So, I mean, getting first seed out of the group gives Wichita Wolves, I believe, a fight against a second seed from another group. So there's a lot of things that Wichita Wolves have earned for themselves here with that seeding battle. And obviously the mental fortitude and the mental edge over Mad City always going to be there too.
Well, with that said, the only thing we have left to do is look forward to it. We'll be back this time next week, bringing you round one of the Divine League playoffs. But until then, my name is Cole Slaw. Rude Dude has joined me on this cast. Our producer has been Jay Doggy. Thank you all for tuning in and watching Resident Esports Divine League, and we'll see you all next time.